to the Green Leaders podcast, where we bring you conversations at the heart of sustainability and climate action. I'm Ruba Nassar, your Green Leader and host, and in this episode, we're honored to welcome Dr. Farah Elzein, a visionary leader and expert in sustainable and green furniture design. Together, we'll explore her innovative approach to eco-conscious interiors, how design can drive environmental impact, and her mission to make sustainability a beautiful part of everyday living. This is your space to learn, connect, and be inspired. Stay connected. Hi, Dr. Farah. Thank you so much for joining us in today's in our fourth podcast for the Green Leaders NGO. It's a great opportunity. And today, I think we're tackling a different topic in sustainability, green furniture and sustainability in interior design. So if you could start by sharing your journey, what first drew you into green interior architecture and sustainable design?
Good morning, dear. Thank you for having me with you. And I'm one of the members of the Green Leaders. I have joined once one activity where we went to do awareness for the kids about renewable energy, and it was fantastic. These beautiful volunteers are disseminating very beneficial information for the schools and for the kids to know more about energy efficiency. Well, about my journey, it started in interior design first. I was a fan of human-centered approach. So my designs were all customized for human needs. And because I was a social worker and a humanitarian worker, I used to be a volunteer with the Lebanese Red Cross and work with humans and see that kids have very special needs, elderly have other needs. And we used to work with people to see how can we support their well-being, their welfare. That's why my master's degree project was about that. I chose to redesign a children's cancer center, and I spent a lot of time sitting with the kids themselves, with their parents, and with the doctors. And what I read in books was totally different from what I saw from my analysis, because like the books told me about colors, non-toxic materials, which was really good, but what I saw in real life, their needs were totally different. Thermal comfort was really important. The functionality, the psychological needs. The doctors needed also support to be working with these not easy cases, you know. And the parents were leaving their works to stay with their kids. So the parents also were very anxious, so I had to design a space for the parents to rest. It was very challenging, but very rewarding when I finished the project. Moving from the human-centered design, also I'm a nature fan. I work on recycled content projects since I was a student at university, and developed that to my initiative Green Shift Lab, where I initiated sustainable furniture design using different resources like old furniture pieces, disregarded pieces.
Sounds very interesting. So you have talked about green shift. Where did you had actually starting it, and do you think that it's do you call it as a turning point, or that made you commit to sustainability as a mission rather than just a career?
Yes, it is a mission indeed. That's how I call it. Thank you for mentioning that. Well, the turning point was attending a lecture for Dr. Antoine Dahdah back then at year 2007 or 2008, when I was a university lecturer, and he was a guest. His office is in Rome, and he was redesigning the Catholic University and making it a green university. And the design was to give the Catholic area 70% oxygen. So I was amazed by this talk, is this happening in Lebanon? Because I used to read that these green practices happen like in Europe or in maybe other countries, but I didn't imagine that there is someone working on this project. Like it's a whole mountain. It's a huge project. So I didn't imagine that there's such a project in Lebanon, and I was amazed. And I asked to meet him, and he gave me his book as a gift to see how he was working on the processes of the project. And it's still being implemented till now. They do one part at a time, like the library at a time, the cafeteria at a time. It's a very high budget project. They cannot finish it in 1 year. So since then, they're working on it till now, and each time designing a new space. So this was my first impact. My second turning point was when I worked in interior design projects and I saw the huge amounts of waste. Like when you go to redesign for a project, my first project designed back like 20 years ago, maybe, it was a 2-level boutique where all the shelves needed to be thrown away, the floorings need to be thrown away, the wall. Like I was like, what's happening here? And I was ordering new materials, I wasn't aware of sustainability at all back then in 2005. And I didn't know like we should consider this. And I was ordering new tiles, new materials. And when they were arriving, I was like, oh my God. So all of these lumps of waste and all of these new materials. So another perspective, when I want to order again new materials, to take this into consideration, and I stopped throwing away. Like I started advising with my clients, let's reuse this, recreate from this. And some of them resisted and said, no, it's boring to have them again. I said, no, they will be given a new life. We will recreate from them. We will mix and match. And then the results were getting better after the client was educated, because the client didn't have this awareness and they wanted a new project. They don't want to see the old things again. They're right. But maybe if we change the setting, the color, we add to them new material or new touches, we collaborate with artists, with natural fiber, bio-based material. It doesn't have to be toxic material at all. And we integrate these natural materials in them. It was looking beautiful, and at the same time, it was eco-friendly at the end.
That's really impressive, because I think the challenge in the interior design of a space, that when someone new comes, you're changing the whole design. So using the existing materials that has a certain how to call it, mood or certain color palette, and you want to implement it in the new design, that's really challenging. And especially that, like, for now, like nowadays we have more say awareness, but back then the infrastructure, or the, say, how we call it, the supply chain was not like supporting at not at all. So that's really impressive. You have mentioned also that you teach university courses on eco-conscious interiors. So what do you feel is the biggest mindset shift students need when approaching sustainable design?
Okay. Now, the students are lucky to be in this time when sustainability is not only a knowledge, it's trendy. Like whenever you open any social media, whenever you read books, everywhere sustainability is integrated. But at our time, we were only designing when we were students, only designing. Not any mention to material waste, not any mention to toxicity, nothing. So now, since we are well educated in this field, we know how to direct the students to a new way of thinking, to innovative thinking. Our work, because they have to see things from a new point of view where they can recreate, and like advising them. One of the students said, like, doctor, what can we do with all these solar panels that we see on tops of buildings, and in a couple of years people want to throw them? So she used them in her new project as wall panels, and she recreated on them, and she was studying if she can recycle them or not, and how can she integrate them in her design. So when you trigger students and push them to think in a new way, they will start like imagining that this is a huge amount of waste and what can we do with them later. And they do a lot of projects related to that. By the way, here you can see the projects of my students behind me. For me, I become also motivated because it's something new, challenging, and I'm learning with them at the same time. So you start the first point, and when they move forward, you start like you need to keep on the research, need to direct them, need to see where are they going, how are they recreating. So it's very interesting to me each time, each new endeavor, each new project. For me, it opens many new doors. I have to read myself a lot. I have to do a lot of research also to guide them. So we have to keep ourselves updated all the time. And as well, all the time mentioning sustainability, because first they think it's like a stereotype or it's something like only trendy. No, I say it's not like that. When you teach them about circular models, when you teach them about closed loop systems, about regenerative design, I give them lectures about biomimicry, biophilic design. They start analyzing that this exists in nature and we can recreate it here. And they recreate projects inspired by biomimicry, and they do their own sketching. That's what is really inspiring, to see that they are learning. Like one student created a tunnel, and the rooftop of the tunnel was all empowered by solar panels to regenerate energy, to light it, and to irrigate the system, because she had some plants in this tunnel. She wants to do the irrigation system. Always a learning experience for me and for them, actually.
I mean, it's really interesting because it seems that there is always, and there is no limit to creativity. And it's really insightful to see. Like, I always think about PV panels. It's nice that you have mentioned. I always think about PV panels, but I have never thought that we can use it as an interior element. Maybe like recycle or like reuse some elements from it. But as an interior space, I mean, that's a great example of thinking outside the box and balancing between, say, meeting the demand and actually like doing a sustainable model or sustainable product.
Yeah.
And it's good that you have like mentioned this renewable or like PV part. So how do you think, how can renewable energy strategies be integrated into interior spaces in practical ways, like beyond like the usual rooftop solar panels? You already had given an example of using it as an interior element, but do you think there is other opportunities or maybe other models?
Of course, the renewable energy systems are a lot. There's the hydro energy, there's the wind energy. Other than the solar energy, there's the geothermal energy that is now very spreading. It actually can be implemented in Lebanon. There are a couple of projects in Lebanon that are implemented and they are successful. And I try to convince some clients to shift to renewable energy in their projects. But some of them accepted and some of them were afraid, or now it's more popular and they have more confidence. But I'm saying like 10, 11 years ago, it was not that easy to convince clients. Now, regarding the renewable energy systems, now in the studies, since we are university professors as well, we are researchers. So being in the research field, and there are ways to do insulation to reduce the exposure to heat and to have improved thermal comfort. There are ways to save on water. There are a lot of ways. Like, I'll give you an example from my PhD when I was designing inspired from Lebanese houses. Lebanese houses had two main problems. If we talk now about design thinking, the problems were the cracks that were in them, because they are like really heritage buildings and they are old And these cracks needed to be treated in a certain way. The second problem was humidity, because they are in direct, and some of them, their walls are submerged in the ground, and they were paying huge amount of bills for the heating, because also one more thing is that they have a very high ceiling, like 4.5 meters. Doing computer simulation, I did it for the walls with wool or with the repurposed wood or any biomaterial that you can use, a straw, anything. That also the PhD tackled, like, how can we do this in a very humble budget? You don't have to pay millions to insulate your home. So after this study, the computer simulation showed that the rectangular house, which is really common in Lebanese territory in architecture, whether in Beirut or in some villages, saved on 80% of energy when you treat it well, and when you know how to isolate the floors from the external heat and from the extreme temperatures. And the gallery house, which is common in Zahle, because I took Zahle as a case study, it saves 90% energy. So when you see that the central hall house or the gallery house can be treated, I took them as a case study because I saw which are common in villages or in certain areas. And I did computer simulation. It proved that. So when you do something targeting the community, something that has social purpose, even we engaged the community to tell us how they treated their houses. Like, oh my God, some beautiful old house with the triple arches, adding an AC to the facade. Like, that was painful to me. Like, you destroyed the design, my dear. You have to remove the AC. We have to return the house to its breathing capabilities and to its natural system, because this house was created 100 years ago when there was no AC. But so when we have to treat a case by case, we go back to how it was built. And always you go into the tunnel of doing a lot of research, a lot of simulation. But when you do this process, you reach very good solutions.
With you, because I always think having a nice house, like traditional house, and having this AC element, it's just also painful for the eye. It just disturbs the
Really?
the mood of the house. So it's really painful to see. And also how you can, I think that you can put AC, but in a nice way, that, as you mentioned, first you can reduce the demand, then put HVAC system to minimize or to reduce the need for mechanical equipment. And since we have mentioned this aesthetic part, and when we talk about interior design, I would say the aesthetic design or aesthetic element is very important. So how you do balance this with the sustainability goals, when you work on furniture or a certain project?
Okay. So going back to how it was made and from which material. Now there's the design process and the industrial process and the purchasing. Now the design process, when the designer is aware, we educate our clients and we shift the material. Like, now I have a student who chose resin for a project, and I was like, no, my dear, resin is not sustainable. Let's replace it with another material. So when you give this tour to the students, or when you open a new window, they start questioning themselves, what other material can replace this? And we started studying together how to replace this material that is really toxic. So when you go to other options and you start doing research, you know that by using different material, you can give aesthetic results. Like in furniture, there is the beautiful banana fibers. There is recycled fruit. They're making fabric from recycled fruit. There is in concrete, there is, if you want to do concrete flooring, there's a lot of new techniques for if you have a terrace or if you have a balcony or a garden, hemp concrete or new types of green concrete with less carbon footprint. So I mentioned some ideas for furniture. I mentioned some ideas for terraces or outdoors. Indoors as well, there can be new options for wall treatments, of course, for water-based paints. Even local products have sustainable materials to use, which we purchase locally. We don't have to pay a lot of money to purchase from abroad. So we look into what local products offer us, and there are a lot of ISO certified materials. And I tell my students, go open the websites, see the data sheet, see the carbon footprint, because we learned this in Europe when teaching at a European university. You have to be very specific in the terms. They have to present the carbon footprint, the recyclability of this material, and like how can you reuse it in the future, maybe disassemble, reassemble. So we teach them to think in a new way, and then the students are ready to the market to go to explore, to recreate. So it is aesthetically pleasing, but also it is eco-friendly and with less negative impact. But like I prefer to say, it is with better positive impact for the society, for the nature, for human well-being, all of these. So we do not only all the time talk about nature, like nature is very important, but also all the time we talk about the human needs and how can we adapt this. Then we talk about aesthetics, like it is the last component, but for the client, it's the most important component. But as we say from the beginning, the ingredients are the most important. How is it done? How is it assembled? And then the result, when you are following up with your clients and you're doing your meetings and they agree, you will see that you reached your goal to achieve a sustainable plus aesthetically pleasing project.
That's really good to hear. There's the availability of a lot of sustainable materials. But actually, I have a question. What about the cost impact? I mean, are all of these materials, let's say, relevant to us as a Lebanese market? Are they available? How much they impact the cost? Say cost budget of like a product or a project.
Okay. Now, first, when they landed, and we had, for example, the FSC wood, the Forest Stewardship Council, it was like definitely more expensive because it was harvested from sustainable forests and it was not harming the nature. But now, if you look, it only varies 10 to 30%. When you look at other types of materials and it is locally made with high quality levels, it is definitely the price is going down. So since we have this in the market, and since we see that the client is knowing what they are buying, and it is also the impact is on their own health, on the occupant well-being, they will appreciate that you are directing them for better options. That's why we are not only called designers, we are advisors. We are designing their lifestyle. Maybe you are like redesigning their houses. When I work with my client on their living area and where they sit, where they read a book, where they work, and you improve these, they will be happy to, and they start talking about it as well, you know. So it's really important not only to educate the students, like they like what the Green Leaders is doing, educating the society, educating future generations, and we are educating the client.
So basically push the
Yes.
demand. So as long the demand is growing, there will be more like demand for these products, and their cost will will decrease
Get
over
down.
time. Yeah, as you mentioned with the FSC, like I remember like 10 years ago when we were asking about FSC products in green building projects, only like one or two suppliers were importing these products. But now there is more availability or more suppliers doing that because of the demand.
And demand. So this is the market, and exactly, the price will go down whenever people are asking for it more, and it will be more available.
Okay, so just like briefly, if you can touch base on when you work with the client, since we talked about the client and the cost impact and how challenging to push for that. What is, if you can just like briefly mention, what's the most common misconception about green design that you often have to correct when you're working with when you're working with your client?
Okay. First of all, about the price that we tackled, they're afraid a lot that it will cost double. So I say no, and I show them the lists of prices, and they can decide. And I show them one more thing, that how they can save on the future bills, and how can they save on maintenance, since they are new technologies. So the first thing was the price. A second thing, they think by themselves that it will look ugly or gray or brown. So I just like correct this to show them that they can look really trendy, colorful. They can be integrated in their design, and they can improve their interior surrounding. Maybe it's an office space, it can improve productivity as well, because like studies show that well-lit, well-ventilated, sustainable spaces, breathing spaces are really delivering more productive spaces to work. Having healthy homes, healthy spaces, they will know the ingredients. They will know that their houses are made of bio-based material, natural material, and they will understand what they are paying for. And they will see the difference on the long term, whether from emissions, whether from toxicity for their house, for their kids, for their families. So it was also the design. They were afraid of that it will look dull, maybe. Also, a misconception is that it will be hard to work on this project. No. Like if you mention like sustainable heating technique, or like energy saving solution, and they know just the original or the old solution, they will say, no, I don't know how to operate this. Well, we educate them how to operate it, how to keep it in shape. Also, definitely the companies can make a visit and can check with them. So even a client themselves, they asked like long time ago, I'm saying like in 2010, for a smart home. So working with such educated client made it easier for us, but when the client is not aware, it takes you a little bit more time and more energy to tell them like, no, it will be easy to operate. It will be easier maybe for their kids as well, to help them, since it is digitized, or since it is all computer operated.
Providing this trust, assuring them of and giving some like examples of other projects that achieve this goal and balance between aesthetic and sustainability and say cost-wise and long-term impact.
True.
And finally, a last question. If you would like to add anything, and what would be your call to action for young designers, entrepreneurs, or even everyday people who want to shift toward greener choices in, I would say, our living homes?
Okay, the future is very promising. Like when you look at how technology is evolving, it's beautiful. Like we shifted from the 3D printing. Now we have the 4D printing, like the facades that open when you need sun and close when you have a lot of heat. You have a lot of future trends that will help them improve their lives and decrease their negative outcomes, whether from emissions or from effects on their health. So I really advise young designers, I advise students and clients to keep on educating themselves, keep on asking. They ask me a lot of questions, and I'm happy because they're curious, they're motivated to know more. Other than the new trends like the technology trends, there is the adaptability and reusability, and to know more about designing with modules, about regenerative design, to know more about also multifunctional design. Like when you have a space in a city and it is a tight space, like most cities have now tight spaces, and the client needs to use this space for different uses, we adapt this to their needs. This is now the most important thing. Like when you ask a designer, you will get results that are studied and experimented results. And we show them the work before, whether with animation, simulation, flyovers, any solution, any visual solution. Even now, you know, there's the AR and the VR. So even they can walk through their houses with augmented reality, virtual reality, to test their houses, to see if they really like to live in such a space. So with the technology help, with the biomaterials and bio-based material help, with a wise design that considers the environment and human needs, I think you will have a better project. And this is the awareness needed, not only for students, but also for their clients.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farah. Do you would like to add any last words?
Well, I want to thank you so much for your effort and for this awareness talk. I can mention, or I can call it like, yes, it is knowledge sharing. It's very important to shed the light on this movement and on this evolution of conventional design to green design, how it's affecting our life positively, how it's helping maybe the nature to regenerate, and how it's helping the economy. Because when it is integrated in the economy, it's also helping local designers and local craftspeople to work in this line or in this same direction. And as a business ecosystem, if all of us work in one direction, I think we will achieve more and more. Like when we all together hold hands, and if the mechanical engineer and the architect and the designer and the furniture maker, all of us maybe unite forces, I think we will get much better results, not to be working each one alone. So now it's our new trend, working on business ecosystems to shed the light, or to empower more the economy, because it's all in the circular economy, and this will be available for people to purchase. Occupants will have a better results, and definitely the emissions, CO2 emissions, will be dropping.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farah. We really appreciate your contribution in raising the awareness, especially